Hello.
I think that might be the biggest service dog I've ever seen. I'm curious why you felt the need to bring your security with you today.
Yeah, he's like security and emotional support. He helps me a lot just being comfortable. I'm kind of trying to stay as calm as I can. And, I think what I'm most needing in my fights is composure and to kind of just go into the apex one more time and feel like it's a training session. He goes to the gym with me and everything like that. Mo is going to be here on Friday. So it's kind of the best way to just keep me, relaxed and not getting all my nerves, up too high.
So it's more about keeping things familiar, right? Keeping the things or fight week the same as they are in the gym.
Exactly.
Will he be at the Apex?
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, cool. Obviously, you fought Amanda before. That fight was a while ago. When you look back on that fight, I'm sure you've rewatched it. What was the biggest thing you were able to take from it and plan to do something different in this rematch?
I feel like I was such a different person back then. It didn't even feel like it was me, So, of course, some of my overhand rights that I kind of throw out there, I still have. I still have some of those. The heart's still there, but I feel like I'm a totally different person. And it was 3 rounds. I think we're at totally different phases of our career. I've evolved in striking and wrestling and takedowns and just so much experience. Going back, I fought like Jessica, Amanda Lemus, all these girls that punch like harder than Amanda. Obviously, if any punch lands on the right spot, it can still knock out and everything like that. But it's a different type of confidence, me going into this fight now, 5 years later, than like 4 months after my daughter was born and taking a little while off.
Was it a bit frustrating not to be able to celebrate Christmas properly, or were you just happy to get the year started off with a bang?
No, I was happy to start off the year. Almost the fight didn't happen, so it was December 14th, and then they pushed it out to January 11th, So I feel like me and Amanda will set the pace for the rest of the year. I know, like, next week is 3/11, so hopefully we can have fight of the night and kind of set the pace for the rest of the year.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Mackenzie, do you regret taking the first fight because it was 4 months after the birth of your daughter?
A little bit, yeah. I think I'd still would have like losses in my career, and I'm still happy to where I'm at today. I think that's what made me be who I am today. So I can't like say like totally regret. But for me, I think if I could go back again, I would wait a little bit longer. I think that there's so many things that, like, a loss in jiu-jitsu for us, it's totally normal. You can lose like 10 times. It doesn't like ruin if you're a better fighter or not. And nowadays I understand how like just 2 consecutive wins, you can be like in line for a title, So that's the goal, to be a champion. And that kind of, maybe if I would have kept like undefeated, like Tatiana Suarez, I think she's only has like 10 fights, but they're all all wins. So all those little things make a difference, and also to like kind of getting that respect of your opponents. They know that you haven't lost to someone, and they don't kind of see any openings and stuff like that. So I feel like my career took a different turn with that, my decision to kind of like, oh, it's okay. I know my chances to win or to lose are a little bit higher. I believe I even when I go back, I saw the fight, I thought I did pretty good, for everything that I had gone through, and how Amanda was like really on a roll at that time. But yeah, I think, if I would have just like, I was scared of the ring rust, at that time. And I wasn't even like a real MMA fighter. I didn't even know what the ring rust was, but I did jiu-jitsu, lots of injuries. I said like, no, I don't want to be like longer out. I was already like 1 year out, basically. The fans saying I'll never come back. My last fight, I had just missed weight, in Brazil. So I was like on a roll. I wanted to show that just because I had a baby, I'll be back in and everything like that. So, and I thought I was good at the time. I didn't realize 5 years how much better I could get. So yeah, definitely if I could, I wish I would have had the composure to think like, no, take it slower, take a little bit more time. 4 months is fast.
Yeah, absolutely. With all that being said, like, is there extra motivation because that was your first loss and she was the first person to beat you? Like, are you going in with any extra motivation?
No, nothing against Amanda. I think maybe if she would have stayed in the strawweight division, when it happened, I was like, oh, maybe we'll meet each other, like when we fight for the belt, you know. But then our careers kind of went totally different directions. You know, she's kind of straw in featherweight. You know, she's kind of stamped herself as a great UFC fighter in general, you know, and I've been kind of more just focused on like breaking the top 5 and trying to get to the belt of strawweight division and just kind of get better at me. So my biggest motivation is to use my fight with her as a base. I think the fans and media and just even myself we'll be able to see a big difference, you know. And I think from one fight to the next, you know, we have a lot of critics. We have, oh, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, or she got better, but you see it just a little bit, you know. But when you see a difference of 5 years and something to base that on, and which is against her, you know, I think we'll be able to. I think fans will be shocked, and I think I'll get the win on Saturday.
One of the big narratives going into that first fight was who had the better jiu-jitsu, who had the better grappling. Do you think this fight's going to be a little bit similar? I know that you said, you know, you guys are two completely different fighters in two different parts of your lives, but is that still like who has the better grappling?
Oh, I think I have the better grappling for sure. You know, I don't think she would want to. I mean, I think maybe she could try to like stall the fight, you know, on top. You know, maybe get a ground and pound and get the round. But I can imagine like why someone would want to, especially with striking. I think she has good striking, you know, and she has a good reach. I wouldn't imagine why she would want to risk going to the ground with me and giving me a chance to win when I think her chances of winning were all more from standing up and keeping the distance, you know. I think it's kind of clear my difficulties have been like with Marina and Yan Shonan or Amanda Ribas, who move a lot. Closing that distance. So I can imagine her wanting to stay to the ground, go to the ground and want to exchange with me on the ground, you know. It just would be an unnecessary risk, you know. But for sure, I want to take her to the ground. That's not a secret.
Are you bummed that this fight's not taken next week in Los Angeles?
No, I'm excited, you know, because I'm wanting to set the pace for the year, you know, like I said, and Los Angeles is like I'm Huntington, you know, so hopefully if I'm not injured, I can be there watching live, you know. I would like to watch the fights.
And then finally for me, CJI, can you just talk about your experience with that, and are you looking to go back and do it again?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, CJI was a great experience, you know, with the pit. You know, it's different. I was like, oh yeah, I fight in the cage. It's very similar. You know, when I went to the pit, it was like the wrong angles, you know, everything completely. And I had just fought Lupita, like maybe I think was 12 days before. So it was for me just to get back in there too. Kind of like when I fought Amanda the first time, you know, I came back in. But it was a great experience. I think they're doing a lot of entertainment for the jiu-jitsu industry. You know, we've been so much sport, but you know, UFC now, Dana announced the jiu-jitsu organization too that he's doing. So definitely maybe I can get a side contract in getting into that too within my UFC fights.
You talk about that growth since the first match up to now. I think when we thought that fight, everybody was thinking like, oh, we can't wait to see the ground game. You've become so much more of a striker since that point. You know, when you think of your striking now and then you look back upon those days, how does it feel when you look at what you used to look like to how good you are now?
Man, I mean, even though I know I still have so much to grow and get better and everything like that, I think I'm proud. I think I had a lot of heart, you know what I mean? And I think I was like game and just like trying to throw in there, but man, I'm like, how did I fight like that? You know, you know what I mean? But it's a jiu-jitsu girl trying to throw down with like these girls that are way more experienced in striking and MMA fights. You know, I think I passed Amanda like in our record on the records with our fights in the UFC. You know, so I think when we fought each other, she had a couple more fights than me in MMA. And then in the UFC, I gained a little bit more. I have more fights now, you know, it's not that many, but so I kind of was gaining my experience in the UFC, you know, and she was already a little bit more experienced with MMA and I was coming just pretty raw. You know, I had Amanda Cooper, Ashley Yoder, and then Amanda Ribas, like coming really, really strong, you know, so I was just throwing down. I really didn't know what I was doing. Today, I feel like so proud that I can kind of see things. Not that I feel like a striker, but I'm understanding like, oh, you know, it's okay. You know, you can get punched. It's a fight. You know, I kind of would have this thing where if I get punched, I go like red. You know, like alarm, and then you just want like no distance, you know, you
Yeah.
just want to hug, grab the person, and you don't care how, if it looks good or not, you just want to grab them. And now it's okay. I don't get that alarm feeling, you know?
And we often, we've seen in the past where, like, say, wrestlers that are so good at wrestling, they start striking, then they fall in love with their hands. You have great jiu-jitsu, and now your hands have really shown up. How do you keep the balance to make sure that you stay true to what initially got you to the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, I think my goal to be the champion is what's keeping me to always look for the submission and the takedowns. I've been training so much. I mean, I know my hands showed up more a little bit in my last fight, but I've been training so much my wrestling with Paul Herrera in Huntington Beach. My wrestling so much. So I used to hate wrestling. I just kind of do my judo takedowns when we get in the clinch. Now I feel even with Lupita, she's a boxer wrestler, you know, and I felt like proud I was able to get takedowns and mix my striking with my takedowns. But I mean, I think anyone who has a camp against me, they're gonna train so much takedown defense and moving. And Amanda Ribas, I felt like I did a clean double leg takedown on her in the first, you know. So I see my little improvements, you know. Like never I do a good wrestling takedown, and lately I've been able to get it, you know, even though I controlled. Maybe I forgot to do more ground and pound, you know. Obviously, I didn't know in the second round I'd get beat up like that, so I'd have this damage thing coming. You know what I mean? But that's all just experience and thinking in the long run. By the end of the fight, if I don't get the submission, how I make sure I still win the fight by judge's decision or whatever it is, you know. So just trying to get. It's a lot of thoughts to go to be prepared for, but yeah, I think my goal to be the champion, and I don't know. Now Tatiana is gonna fight Zhang Weili. I'm hoping Tatiana wins because I hope Tatiana wins because I would like to fight Tatiana. I think that'd be a good matchup. But yeah, I think Amanda Ribas wants to fight her too, you know. So we're both kind of like standing each other's way for the next step.
And if Tatiana does get the win, do you think that the UFC might give Zhang Weili a rematch, or are you hoping that the UFC pushes on at that point and lets new people either like yourself go for it?
I think it all depends how it goes. You know, if it's a close match, I think maybe they'll give her a rematch. You know, or maybe if it's like a quick knockout, like Rose was with her, you know, like in the first minute or something, they will give her a rematch. But I think if it's kind of like total dominance, you know, how Zhang Weili did with Amanda Ribas or some of the other girls, you know, Yan, I think, and I think not.
Do you see this fight as being the contender fight to see who gets that? I know a lot of people are saying that Verna's been waiting and Verna's possibly next in line. But do you see that this bout, if you guys go out there and have just a barn burner, that this could be the fight that maybe leapfrogs to the next shot?
I don't think so. I think we both would have a couple more, 1 or 2 more fights to. I mean, maybe they would throw us in. We both have like a lot of followers, you know. We both are like kind of the same vibes, you know. But just to kind of get something new in there, maybe. But I don't. In my opinion, I don't think either me or Amanda would be ready after this fight to fight for the belt. The next one, you know. I think maybe we'd have to do a couple more fights.
Yeah. And speaking of the experience and all this growth and change since 2019, this is like, I believe, your 4th headline event here for the UFC. Has it gotten easier, you know, dealing with the media obligations, the fight week pressure, being the face on the poster? Has it gotten a lot easier for you?
Yeah, it's getting easier. It's getting like I'm like, man, I wonder how I'll be one day if I do get like a main event, like someplace else. You know, I'm doing 4 main events at Apex. You know, so but I can't complain. It's like I said, it kind of feels comfortable to me now, and it's close to home. So my daughter, my dog, you know, it's a small arena. I have a lot of fans. I have a lot of support that come out to Vegas, you know, to support me. So I'm really liking it. And it's funny now that I have like, it's my 4th poster, and now I'm kind of even getting like picky. Like that's the picture they picked, you know, and now I'm starting to get like a little bit that girl side of me, you know, like they could have had a more flattering picture, you know, and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's such a pleasure. And yeah, I'm 2 losses and 1 win on my main event. So we got to pass that. We got to change that up.
Yeah, not many people can say they had the private Mark Zuckerberg fight.
Yes, that was a crazy experience. It was more quieter than like with the COVID times, you know. Yep. So it was crazy.
Just goals for 2025. What are you hoping to happen this year?
I mean, I really want to work my brand. I want to work my brand like in tons of different areas, just more merchandise, and start building on by the time when I get to the belt, you know, I have that big fan base and just everyone kind of supporting me and, you know, sponsors and just getting better and as a whole having a lot of peace in my life. You know, I'm trying to be drama free a little bit, but I think I attract that maybe. I'm not sure. And yeah, I just spend lots of time with my daughter. We just bought a horse, so take some time horseback riding and travel when I can.
What's the horse's name?
Apollo.
Nice. What's the dog's name?
Mac.
Mac.
Yeah.
And last one, keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I think just composure. You know, if I stay focused in there, I think I'll be able to beat Amanda in all areas.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.